Next up, Vergil Ortiz, like I say, takes apart Fredrick Lawson in 1 round. Main story here, though, is Tony Weeks stops the fight before any knockdowns. Lawson was getting cracked, but he didn't even look to be seriously compromised, at least to the extent we would expect a stoppage. It looked to be one-sided and maybe a foregone conclusion, but this is not the way that the ref is supposed to behave. Maybe the guy's a slow starter. Maybe he gets his second win. I don't know, but that stoppage got a lot of people's attention. And like I said earlier, Weeks also the person who stopped the Barroso fight when he was in with Rolly Romero. So Tony Weeks steals the show in the main event. What'd you think?
Which is never what you want to happen. Okay.
Never.
Ortiz looked good. Let's start with that. He looked sharp, alert. Punches had snap in them. Form was good, because I know the fans want my evaluation, I think, on that to start. Before we get to this other stuff, unfortunately, that became really the stuff we're going to talk about now, which should be just about the performance of Ortiz. And unfortunately, with what happened and transpires too often in our sport, we're not talking about the fight. But I will finish the evaluation of up to that point. He had snap in his punches, Ortiz. His form was good. He was the boss, as we knew he'd be, but he wasn't reckless doing it. He took his time, eventually backing Lawson onto the ropes, where he went to his forte, what makes him Vergil Ortiz, his body work. Or maybe I should say his body attack, because he attacks the body and he is committed to attacking the body. And look, Golden Boy selected Lawson for a reason. I said he would knock him out. I think I said the 4th round. All right? He selected him for a reason. In his first fight back after a long layoff and health issues, he picked a guy in Lawson who had stepped up 3 times in his career, and he lost all 3 of those times. And the way he lost is what's significant. He got knocked out. He got stopped in all 3 of those fights when he stepped up in each one. Now it's 4 times and knocked out 4 times. They knew Lawson would be right there to engage Ortiz. And to be completely frank, when the fight started, I have to tell you, Lawson had the legs of a shot fighter. And I know that it's easy, Teddy, it's easy to say, no, Monday morning quarterback. No, please. All right?
Even if it's easy to see now, you see what you see. What are you supposed to do? Not comment on it because you see it? Maybe he didn't have shot legs until he got in there in the first round. That's the point.
He had worn and not sturdy legs. And for me, the way I describe it is it's like branches on a tree. They can no longer hold any weight or stand up to a strong wind. And Ortiz, of course, blew him into the ropes. And look, just before that, he staggered Lawson with a jab. That happens. It happens. But he did. He buckled him with a jab. Then he gets him on the ropes. And although he was blocking most of the blows, and he was, Lawson was blocking most of those blows. And he had, as I said, he had been jolted and buckled a little earlier, by a jab to the head. But there's no doubt that Ortiz was going to stop him. But for the referee to step in that early was wrong. But let me go now into something else that it has to go into. X-ray, we have to go into X-ray's CAT scan mode and follow this a little deeper. It's got Tony Weeks' name there, and supposedly this is coming from Tony Weeks' mouth. Right, Ken? Am I correct?
Correct.
Am I correct, Ken? Okay,
Correct.
Read it, Ken.
This is what is being attributed to Tony. What the public didn't know that prior to the fight, they did a brain scan on him being Lawson, and it came up that he had an aneurysm. And they did a test again, and the same aneurysm came up. Another doctor was brought in, and they gave him the same examination, and he tested negative for the aneurysm. so they cleared him to fight. So if that's what he's saying, it sounds like we need someone to get in here and say that this aneurysm isn't there. And I think what he's implying, that someone was brought in to just basically like rubber stamp it.
He's not implying. He's very clearly telling us that that's why I stepped in. The same thing I was thinking that it looked like before I knew this. That he knew something was wrong, and as soon as the guy got touched, he was going to step in so somebody didn't get killed. Oh yeah, I'm going to use that straw. Yeah, I say it again, in case you had cotton in years, so somebody didn't get killed.
As they have in the past. It's not maybe, that they have.
He is saying, first of all, we got to get answers. Either way, we got to find out. Because if this is true, that commission has to be shut down. They got to find out who the doctors are. They got to find out. I don't even know how Weeks would have this information, because this is not something that is normally shared with a referee. Medical tests, brain scans is not normally shared.
Which begs the question, is this is really Tony Weeks' statement?
100%. And we can't say it clearer. We're saying it again. We don't know. We just know it's being put out, purported that it is. And if it is, really, I love this sport. Michael
Benson, who shares a lot of boxing info out of the UK, reposted this. He's the online boxing editor in his bio for TalkSport.com. So I would assume if he's and he usually has credible intel, that he'd done some investigation.
Listen, if there's any truth to it, again, I love this sport, but this sport cannot just go forward without clearing this.
And Golden Boy put out a tweet yesterday that says Fredrick Lawson was cleared by a Nevada State Athletic Commission sanctioned doctor to fight on Saturday night. All other questions should be referred to Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Well, let's refer them. I want answers. This is the one sport you don't get answers. They just move forward. NFL, my God, there'd be a full investigation. I mean, Congress would literally get involved if there wasn't, if you did something like this. Really? Or questionable the possibility of doing something like this. I'll say it again. If this was football, you wouldn't go forward until this thing was completely rooted out, until they got full, clear answers. I want full, clear answers. Really. I want to know what's true, what's not true. We need to know. And that's the problem with boxing. They don't have an arm, infrastructure, an arm to it that investigates itself. I mean, these commissions are a joke. They really are. They're a joke, half of them. And some of them are good meaning, but some of them are, they're politically appointed. The guys that run them, they're appointed politically. I know in Nevada they are. And then they answer to the promoters, because without the promoter doing business, they wouldn't even have a business to run if there was nobody promoting. So they got close proximity relationships with the promoters. There's no watchdog watching this kind of stuff. We need to have that now. Boxing has never properly investigated itself. We need to demand it. And I'm telling you, I'll say it again. If somewhere this investigation doesn't appear to be real and doesn't get us real answers, I'm going to ask my people let's take it ourselves and take it to the right people, the same people we're looking to get a national commission. And the reason we're trying to get it now is to make the sport better in all areas. Pension. Get rid of the rigged decision, the bad decisions, the bad ratings, the bad rankings, the 150,000 belts that are out there. All of that stuff. And this, to make sure that medical procedures are unilaterally proper and conformed to across the board. So when fighters get into the ring in this very risky business to begin with, that they are looked out for the best that they can be looked out for. They are as healthy as they are supposed to be when they get in that ring. And this is suggesting that was not true. This is suggesting the possibility. And again, Oscar came out, fine, go to the commission. He's right. But he came out, he said that the doctor cleared him. But our problem is in that statement. What about initially? The one that didn't clear him. The one said that he had an aneurysm. What about that?